So I loosened up the bolts. Actually, I took out the nuts, right? The two nuts right there on the side, and you can see in there, nuts gone. The bottom one's gone too. And I jacked up after I loosened up those nuts, and I took those nuts out. I jacked up the bike, so from both sides, and you see the other video, I used this mounting point here, and you can hear, you can see that it's actually off the spool. You see it's actually off the spool there. See that? It's off the spool. So so basically that takes I want to be able to take weight off the back end here, so I could sort of wiggle the tire up and down a little bit to give me looseness, so I could slide those bolts out. All right. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Other thing I did was that I put a 2x4 down here, so if I can't, while one hand is down in there trying to get those bolts out, maybe the other hand's here, or the other hands can't be here, or I need both hands over there, I can just basically just put my feet right here, and you basically just kind of wiggle this a little bit, and it wiggles that end so that I could get the bolt out. So that's a sort of a easy trick right there. All right, let's get this up here. Let's get it from that end. All right, so let's do this. So both are out. Oh, the top one just slid right off. Oh, both top and bottom, it slid right out. There was there's no pressure on it at all. So that's good. That basically means they were fully extended, or the shock is fully extended. Oops, the shock is fully extended, and there was no tension on the bolts back here at all. So that's one bolt. Other bolt. So let's see if there's a difference between the top and bottom one. Nope, they're the same. All right, let's look at the dog bones. So here's the original. See that? Here's the original. Two original ones. And look at the two new ones. Well, the new one looks like, the new one is a little bit thicker, looks like. Maybe thicker, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, because the top of this one it's not square, it's kind of curved from the stamping, because these things get stamped out. But let's look at the whole eye to eye. So let's see, let me center this as best I can by eyeball. So that's it right there. So this one's centered with each other, and that one is slightly off, and I think hopefully you guys can see that. So the edge of the shorter one to the edge of the other one is probably about 4 millimeters or so. So not much, right? So anyways, the two old ones and the two new ones. Usually when you mount these stuff, when these things get stamped, or this one, it got stamped, you actually see it. It's basically a shear. It got sheared, and you can see it, how it's shaped, how it gets cut. So usually when things get sheared like that or stamped, one side's always going to be kind of rounded, but the other side's going to be more square. And these new ones, these are actually not stamped. These are actually cut. These, I don't know if they use a plasma cutter. It looks like a plasma cutter, or a laser cutter, or even a water jet. No, it doesn't look like a water jet. Yeah, it doesn't look like a water jet. It could be a water jet, but it's kind of rough for a water jet. It looks more like a plasma maybe. But anyways, so these ones were cut and those other ones were stamped. So there's a difference there. I'm actually gonna make it so that there's numbers here. I'm gonna make it so that the numbers are facing out, so you can see it, so you can see them. Okay. So here, basically same thing. There, slide it in from this side. Slide it in from this side, and this side. Push it in basically. So let me do the top one first. Actually, let me do the bottom one, because the bottom one I don't have as much clearance on the bottom for my hand as I do with the top. So I'm gonna slide the bottom one in first, because when you only have one, it's easier to slide in. When you have two, it's kind of hard. Okay, so top one's in, or bottom one's in. Top one. Let's see, so it's obviously, because since there's no weight on the back end, it's fully extended. So since these dog bones are a little bit shorter than the these new ones are shorter than the stock ones. So I basically have to use I basically have to lift the rear end up a little bit, just a tiny bit. Oops. So let's get this back in here. This is why it was easier to do the top. Now the top's actually dropped out because I accidentally push it out from the other side. Okay, so here is where I want to lift the back end, or since I have this thing on my foot, I could just use that instead of having to try to muscle it with my arms. I can just put a weight on it with my foot. Be careful when you do this, don't, because of how I have it jacked up. It's not the most stable thing. Okay, so I stuck my hand up here and moved it a little bit anyways, just to kind of finesse it in there. Most of the weight's actually where my foot was with a 2x4, but my hand was there just to kind of finesse it. Okay, that's in that side. Now this other side, same thing, right? Same thing. Since this side should, the distance is already set, it should just slip right in. Should. Keyword being should. Oops. Again, I think it's easier to put the bottom one in first, just because the bottom one you don't have as much hand space as the top. See, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push the top one out just a tiny bit, just so I can have some clearance. Okay, bottom one's in, top one needs to go in. Okay, top one's in, bottom one's in, so I'm good. So I'm going to put the bolts on. I'm not going to tighten up the bolts, I'm just going to put the bolts on. Then I'm going to put the bolts on. Then once the bolt's on, I can jack it down back onto the rear stand. Then I will tighten it. Okay. So I'm not going to do that on video. I'm going to just do it off camera. You guys don't need to see that, I don't think. All right, that's it. Thank you.